Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 302 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and a two-time author. Our second book is called From Letters to Leaders, Redefining New Member Education and Leveraging Belonging to Eliminate Hazing. So go and pick up that book today on Amazon. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, one of the best feelings that I get as an entrepreneur is when you get a new contract from a new client that you haven't worked with yet, because you're thinking about all the new possibilities that have just opened up. It's a group of new students who we can work with to make meaningful change on their campus, and then they refer us to more students and even more campuses. So there's something about that rush of new orders, and I know that our next guest feels the same way because he's making $500,000 selling at age 69, and he wrote a book on exactly how you can do it too. Gopi Nair is a gratitude practitioner. Gopi's mission in life is to inspire the world, one person at a time. A world that is mired in utter negativity. The only hope that we have is gratitude. Gratitude can erase negativity from every human mind like the light removing darkness. Gopi believes that gratitude is a panacea for all human suffering caused by health, financial, and social problems. Once you start practicing gratitude, then your mind is focused in the present and is assured of the ultimate joy in life. Welcome to the show, Gopi.
Thank you very much, Michael. I am honored to be here in your show.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. You are such a unique individual. It's so refreshing to talk to you. So, I'm really enjoying this time that we have together. And I know our audience, our student listeners, are going to love hearing your perspective. And, I think we should go all the way back because you're a native of Kerala, India. Talk to our audience a little bit about what it was like growing up in Kerala.
The word Kerala means land of coconut. Kera means coconut, land of coconut. I come from the land of coconut. I was the 8th child of my parents, and my father passed away when I was a year and a half old. But he was a very honest and pious man. So my mother had to raise all of us. My mother was also a very pious person, and she was a well of wisdom, and all my inspiration to be a gratitude practitioner, she gave it to me when I was 12 years old. My brother used to send money order and a letter regularly to my mother. And when the mailman comes to my home, it was a celebration. My sister and myself, we will gather around my mother to witness the event of my mother receiving the letter and the money order from the mailman. After that ceremony is over, my mother would offer him a simple vegetarian lunch, which was the custom in our home. Anybody who shows up at lunchtime will get a simple vegetarian lunch. That's all we could afford. But afterwards, my mother would also give him a tip of 1 rupee. I used to question my mother. Food I can understand, lunch I can understand. That's a custom in our house. But why do you want to give him 1 rupee? Especially all that money we have is the money that my brother used to send. My mother will hold me close to her, look into my eyes, and tell me, Gopi, remember, the mailman brings good news and the money from your brother. We have to be grateful to the mailman. As a 12-year-old, I did not get it, but it appeased my curiosity. But one thing I can tell you, either that mailman or any other mailman for that matter ever brought any bad news to my mother.
Amazing story. I really like that story a lot, and it makes a lot of sense. Listen, if he's bringing good news, have him keep coming. Every time he
Right.
shows up, it's good news. It's a blessing on the
Right.
house.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. You also attended the University of Bombay and you received your master's degree in commerce there, and then you migrated to the United States. So tell our audience, why did you decide to come to the United States?
You have to understand, I was 28 years old, and it was the dream of every young man growing up in India, and for that matter, any part of the world, to come to this land of honey and milk. And many of us take things for granted. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning along with my brother. His name was K.S. Nair, and he was like my father and my mentor and my very good friend. And we both used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because that is the only time we could get enough water to take a shower. There was shortage of water. But because we get up at 4 o'clock, we had enough water to take a good shower. So here in this country, I have no problem taking 3 or 4 showers in a day because we take things for granted.
Yeah.
We are in the top 1% of all living, breathing mortals in the world when it comes to enjoying life. And we need to remember that. We need to remind ourselves how fortunate we are to live in this country.
Wow, that's really well said, Gopi. I think you're right. I think we do take it all for granted that we have all of these things, modern everything, including running water. I mean, there's plenty of places in the world that have no running water. And so here we are every day. We can take 4 showers, 5 showers, as many showers as you want, any
Right.
time of day. It doesn't matter. The water's running,
Yes.
right? So I think you're absolutely right. I think we do take it for granted. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. I love the fact that you have been a salesman for the past 25 years. I mean, you've worked for financial institutions like Travelers, Prudential Insurance, Dean Witter Reynolds, MetLife. Tell our audience what makes a successful salesman.
There are three important things, cardinal principles anybody can cultivate and become a highly successful salesperson. And rule number one, ability to handle rejections. And one of the problems that most of the salespeople face is their inability to handle rejection. Of course, this is also a big problem in life. One day your wife will say no to you and you feel rejected. Or your girlfriend says no to you and you feel rejected. So our ability to handle rejection is understanding the psychology of rejection. The psychology of rejection says it is not somebody is rejecting you, it is the timing is bad. So I learned early in my life that if I am going to be a successful salesperson, I have to have my own system of handling rejection. I knew as a life insurance salesman, I used to call 100 people, cold call, but I tried to make it as warm as possible. And if somebody hang up on me, I will say thank you and then go to the next person because I didn't take it personally because they did not know me. There was no reason for them to reject me because they have not known me. It was the first time I was calling them. Then I go to the second person. But one thing I knew from my experience, if I call 100 people, 90 people will hang up on me or they will not even talk to me. But the 10 people will talk to me. Out of that 10 people, 2 people will buy from me. So whenever somebody rejected me, so-called rejection, I was happy because I am getting closer and closer to those 2 people whom I can sell. So the purpose was to identify those 2 sales. And for that identifying purpose, I have to go through the process of calling 100 people. And the same thing I follow today also. If somebody says something, if somebody says, Gopi, you are an idiot, I will say, thank you very much. Because it is their opinion. I don't want to make it my reality. I'm a non-stick person. Nothing sticks to me. Anybody can say anything, but nobody can insult me without my permission. And that is how I handle rejection in life. And that is very important for every salesperson. And the number 2 challenge every salesperson faces is the inability to stay inspired all the time. The engine that runs the human life is enthusiasm and inspiration. And there is a simple technique I follow. Whenever I talk to anybody, even today, the first 30 seconds, that is my mission in life, I used to say something to compliment that person. It does not come from my lips, it comes from my heart. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. So you have to be aligned with your words and with your thoughts. And so the best way to stay inspired, students, you can take it and start practicing from today. You come across with so many people every day. The best way to stay inspired, you inspire everybody who crosses your path with a big smile or say something to uplift that person for that 30 seconds. And that will keep you going all the time. And number 3, last but not the least, be grateful. Remain grateful. Gratitude must be the only attitude in life. If you are grateful, I always reminded myself when I was selling 40 years ago, it is my clients who put food on my family's dinner table. That was a stark reality. I always reminded myself of that. So a client was never a burden for me. Even today, they can call me anytime and they don't have to do any business with me because they can say no to me. It wouldn't bother me, but I will remain grateful at all times. If
Wow.
anybody follows these 3 principles, they can be much highly successful in sales or any chosen field.
That is excellent wisdom that you're sharing with our audience. Those 3 pieces, incredibly important. A lot of people don't know this, but when I was in college, I actually went door to door selling books, in California, of all places, which was across the country from where I lived. And very, very difficult to sell books door to door. Okay. This
Yeah.
is an impossible mission. But just like you said, I knew that I would have a map of all the homes in the neighborhood, and I would hit 100 homes that day. I just didn't know which were the 10 that were going to invite me in and which were the 2 of the 10 that were actually going to buy the books. But I ended up making a ton of money. Okay, so
I
you have to
am.
be able to handle rejection. If you can handle that rejection, then there is untold wealth that's waiting for you on the other side. But the question is, can you handle rejection from 98 out of 100 people? If you can handle it, then you're going to be very successful in life. And that was
Correct.
a very important lesson that I took with me from college until today.
That's why you are successful, my
That's
friend.
it. That's the only reason, because I can handle
Right.
rejection. I don't take it
Yes.
personal. It's
Yeah.
not a personal attack because these people have no idea who I am.
Yes.
And so I agree with you completely. But that is the question: can you handle that rejection? And that is where the college students, I feel like, that's where they need some work, is to be able to handle that rejection and get over it. Because if they can, then they're going to be very, very successful. Now, you talked about gratitude already. Why do you feel it's so important that our listeners practice gratitude every day?
Practicing gratitude every day is like practicing emotional hygiene. We have physical hygiene. As soon as we wake up in the morning, we wash our face with cold water, brush our teeth, and floss, and then we take a good shower. And that will give us physical hygiene. When you take a shower or a bath, what happens is all the dead skins are removed from the body and healing takes place. Physical healing takes place. Water is the best healer. People don't recognize that. Water is the best healer in the world. The same way, we need emotional hygiene, and gratitude is the best emotional hygiene. It will remove all the chronic negativity from the mind, and it will heal our mind. If you want to heal our mind, and if you want to reduce tension and inner conflicts, practicing gratitude is very essential. And if you ask me, as I say many times, practice of gratitude is a panacea for all human suffering, whether physical or emotional.
Really powerful stuff. Really, really powerful stuff. I was reading through your latest book. It's called Manage Your Mind, Manage Your Life. And in there, you talk about not blaming the mirror for your poor image. And you mentioned that people are criticizing their employer, they criticize their job, they criticize their upbringing. They're always blaming other people for their shortcomings. But you believe that in order to change the conditions, you need to change your thoughts. What do you mean by that?
Okay. There is a famous saying, as above, so below, as within, so without. Circumstance, as the great James Allen, the author of As a Man Thinketh, said, is a looking glass. Every experience that comes to you has its origin in your thought process. We do not realize. It is the thought and your speech and your action. These are the three tools of engagement with the universe. And whatever you think and whatever you speak and however you act in every day, they bundle up together and come back to you as your experience. The great Buddha said that you are what you think all day long. So when you get an experience, always remind yourself, what did I think? How did I cause this experience to occur in my life? And once you understand the source of your experience, it is not outside, it is inside. And I will also say a shortcut for that. The one way you can handle that is practicing gratitude. So the chronic negativity will be removed from the surface of your mind. And your mind will be always ready to receive more and more and more blessings every day.
I like that a lot. That is really, really good feedback there. Now, I'm sure that even in your life, right? I mean, right now, everything is very well put together, but I'm sure, times in your life when emotions run high. Can you describe to our audience what techniques we can use when that happens to us?
Yes. I have to make a confession here. Your brain does not stop growing. The new science says, the new brain research says, because of neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, we can rewire our brain every day by our thought, our speech, and our action. So it is very important. Just like the college students know, they build big muscles. If they don't show up in the gym for 1 month, that muscle will collapse. The same way, even for me, if I do not go through my rituals, including everyday practice of gratitude, I will not be able to handle my emotions. But for the information of my young friends, I will share a simple technique. I call it emotional circuit breaker. We all have an electric circuit breaker in the house. If there is an overflow of current or a short circuit, that circuit breaker will snap the flow of energy, snap the flow of current, so that we can prevent the risk of house being burned down. The same way, when emotions run very high, internally, you recite 3 times, I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for the experience 3 times silently. So nobody will hear that. You get 30 seconds pause, and that is your emotional circuit breaker. Within that 30 seconds, the flow of negativity to the emotion is snapped. It is curtailed. And that is the time you will be able to understand what's going on within you. You recognize your own emotion so you can take action so it will not go out of control.
Beautifully said. I can't wait to try that the next time my emotions run high, which they do run high. There are times when I feel that. So I'm going to try that next time. I'm going to let you know what happens next time.
Please.
Now, a lot of our students, a lot of the people who are listening right now, they are feeling burnout either at work or in college. How can you avoid feeling that sense of burnout?
Okay. Well, in the interest of repetition, I don't want to call it gratitude. I will call it appreciation. When you appreciate everything that you have, you can stop the burnout, because burnout does not happen overnight. It is the result of accumulated negativity in the mind. My mother always used to tell me, Gopi, whatever God gives you, accept it with both hands and say thank you. It could have been worse.
Wow.
The same way, if we can appreciate everything that we have, we will not have the burnout syndrome, whether at studies or at workplace or in the family, because we will not allow that negativity to accumulate and explode one day as burnout.
Mhm. So is it the same thing for like all the negative thoughts that we have in our head that is always running? Because you talk about that in your book as well. I mean, sometimes in our minds, we have this track of negative thoughts that are coming through our head. Is the key to that all appreciation and gratitude as well?
Yes, I must also confess, certain amount of negativity is very important in life. Only when that chronic negativity, that is dangerous. Because say, for example, you are afraid next week you have the finals coming. You have only 1 week. And that will remind you, hey, I cannot go for party and waste my time. I have to focus on my studies. So that fear is good. Or let's say on one test you are expecting to get A, but you got a B plus, and you got angry at yourself. That anger is good, because next time you know I am going to get A plus next time. So when that negativity becomes chronic, when you start ruminating, it will ruin your mental health. So just like you go to gym, you need to practice appreciation. You need to practice gratitude every day so that we will be able to build that strong mental muscle.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, the other word that I've seen you use, you call it happy culture, and you coined this word, happy culture. How do
Yes.
we create a culture of happiness in our lives every day?
Okay. Happy culture is a mindset. One thing people don't realize, if you are happy, you are bound to be unhappy, because both happiness and unhappiness, they both exist in the field of time. It is fleeting. Time is fleeting. And when you say happy culture, you are accepting whatever happens in life. It does not matter what happens to you, but how you process that information within you. And that is the only thing that matters. And happy culture is a commitment that you make to yourself, that whatever happens in my life, I am going to be happy. I am not going to be unhappy, because unhappiness is sheer waste of energy and time. And happy culture meaning cultivating your habit to look at everything with gratitude. It could have been worse, just like my mother said. Accept whatever comes. It could have been worse.
Mhm.
And be grateful. And once you practice gratitude, when I say it's a panacea for all human suffering, I mean that. Because somebody asked me a question, Gopi, my father just died. You wanted me to be grateful? I said, yes. You have to be grateful for two reasons. Your father taught you a lot of things, and you have to be grateful for that. And your father took care of you and the family. You must be grateful for that. And this is the time for you to show that gratitude by picking up the mantle, the family's mantle, and running with that. You take care of your mother, your siblings, and that is possible only when you are grateful and when you are strong. If you are financially and emotionally not strong, you cannot do anything in this world. You can only give sympathy. The world does not need your sympathy. They need your empathy.
Mm, I like that a lot. You're absolutely right. We need more empathy today. I really love where you're going with that. I'm also really impressed with all the books that you put out. Tell us more about Gopi's Gratitude Journal that you published in 2010. What is that book about?
Yes, actually, it is in 2021 September,
Ah,
Gopi's Gratitude Journal. You know, I was looking for a gratitude journal uh, 3 years before 2016. I got some blank pages and they put it gratitude journal. I thought if you don't find what you're looking for, you have to create what you are looking for. So that gave me the encouragement to write Gopi's Gratitude Journal. Gopi's Gratitude Journal is a workbook. It gives you the history of gratitude and the need for being grateful and how you can be grateful, and then 90 days practice journal. Every day you can write 10 things for which you are grateful, or 10 people to whom you are grateful. You know, we are all here today because somebody helped us on the way, starting with our parents, our teachers, elders from the church, brothers and sisters, good friends, mentors, even strangers. They all came together to help us. So we have to show our gratitude. And Gopi's Gratitude Journal is a workbook. Anybody can use it. And if you don't use it every day, you will lose it. So you have to practice gratitude every day. And it is available on Amazon.
I love that you created it. I love, that you basically were looking for a resource, you couldn't find it, so you just created it on your own. I think that's such an important lesson for our students to walk away with. I mean, if there's a product or a service out there that would help you, but you can't find it, it's time to get to work and make it for other people, because I promise you there are other people that are looking for those kinds of resources. So I absolutely love everything that you talk about. It's just so refreshing, and thank you for sharing all of that. Now, I do love to eat good food. Okay, so that is something very, very important to me, and I know you live in the Chicago area, so you have a ton of good restaurants. I mean, there's no shortage of good food in Chicago. So is there a particular restaurant that you really enjoy in Chicago, so that way I can try it the next time I fly in to the airport there in Chicago?
Yes. But one thing I want you to promise me, when you come to Chicago next time, you give me a call. We will have lunch together or dinner together.
All right, that sounds good, but you have to give me good food because
Yes,
that's what
I
I
will give you. I don't want to hide it from you. It is called India House. It is in
love.
Chicago,
Uh,
and they have good Indian food. It is a culinary, tongue-tingling experience.
Fantastic.
And it is a celebration of spices. And all your taste buds will celebrate together with you because they get a feast in that India House.
That sounds absolutely delicious. I will call you and we're going to go to India House together because I happen to love the food. See, but it has to be very spicy, okay? Like authentic. Because for me, like chicken vindaloo, that is my favorite dish, okay? If you have a good vindaloo, then we're good to
They
go.
have good chicken vindaloo. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. That's what I want. I want it as spicy as it can be. And that's what I like, some naan, and I'm good to go. That's it. I'm a happy guy.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
All right. So if our student listeners, if they want to bring you in to speak in the Chicago area, where can they go to connect with you?
They can email me, gopi132@yahoo.com, or my telephone number, 630-290-6847.
Fantastic. That is great, Gopi. Thank you so much for sharing all of your contact information. I know people are going to be reaching out and asking you to come and speak. You know, it could be for their business, it could be for their college or university in the Chicago area. So thank you so much for sharing all of that information. And thank you for being on the podcast. I mean, it's just so refreshing to listen to you talk about gratitude and the importance of that. I think you're absolutely right. You know, a lot of people in this country take for granted everything that we have every single day. And if we just practice a little bit more gratitude, I think that we'll be better off as a society. And so I'm really grateful for the books that you put out and all the resources that you've shared here today, because I think it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you, Gopi.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. I am indeed honored, and I'll be more than happy to come to your show anytime.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Gopi, make sure that you like it on social media. Make sure that you share it with other people in your network on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever. Just share Gopi's information. And we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we are going to see you next time.